For some reaction, we are now joined by Owami Kunene, the SRC Media Counselor at Rhodes University. Owami, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I know this is a project which comes after years of sustained water challenges at the university. Tell us more about what's led to this project.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Paul. I think you did mention earlier on that Makhanda has been a town that struggles a lot with the availability of water, and that water is just generally a problem. So I think in order to alleviate the stress on students, the institution then embarked on sort of a project to make sure that at least the institution, Rhodes University, is able to have water, as the town in its entirety is a town that struggles with having water.
And when you talk about stress on students and the university in its entirety, how have students been affected by the outages and not being able to have water on campus?
Okay, so essentially I think it's an issue of hygiene and just personal care and the basic human dignity is the right word to use, because oftentimes you'll have water outages for days on end and the students are forced to go to class in that condition, having not had water, where there's provision for water, probably with the water tanks run out after 2 or 3 days, and then after that process we then have to just not have water. So that obviously takes a toll on your mental health, because you're not confident in the way that you're presenting yourself out there. You're not confident that people are not looking at you or saying things about you, so you're unable to fully exist and fully participate in your academic career because you're so concerned about how you feel, how you are as there is no water.
Yeah. The project is centered around reducing reliance on municipal water supply and ensuring long-term water security on campus. What's your understanding of the process and how it'll pan out?
Okay, thank you. So the process has the 2 phases, I think you did say. So right now we've completed, or rather the institution, let me say, has completed phase 1 of the process, which is to ensure that there's actually enough water to sustain sort of the project. And then phase 2 would then be the implementation and the testing to sort of ensure that the water is drinkable, safe for consumption, as well as safe for human usage. And then will be the phase where you actually now put these structures in place, where you build the borehole system, where you ensure that the water is deliverable, transferable to each residence, or is available to the residences. And I think that's sort of the culmination of the understanding of what the water project will do.
Will there be any disruptions on campus? Have they already started?
Not at the moment, but I assume that with any big construction, there are obviously disruptions that are going to happen. Hopefully there won't be too much that they affect sort of the academic proceedings of the institution and the academic proceedings of the students. But I do assume that with any big project, there are always disruptions.
I also know that the different supplemental supply options have been analyzed as the university has this structured approach to implementing the entire water security plan, which will be undertaken in 2 phases. How are these phases going to be approached?
So phase 1, I think, is already completed, which is ensuring that first the university has the capacity to sustain sort of this borehole system, this borehole project. Secondly, to ensure that there are the levels, I think, of water purity are able to be sustained and they're able to be maintained. And then phase 2 would be then the actual implementation of ensuring that we get systems put in place, we get the water to be able to be transferred. That's sort of my understanding of how the project is going to play out or pan out. The hope is that the implementation of this process is then going to reduce the stress on students with regards to depending on the municipality for water, and water will be more available to the students, where we don't have to have or go as long without water within our residence systems, or have to go as long without water within our lecture venues and all these other common areas that students utilize.
Have you started to see the effects of the borehole installation in phase 1?
Not at the moment, no.
When is that expected to happen?
We're hoping with the communication that we received that at least mid-2026 we're going to be starting to see some change or sort of some progress with the water borehole system.
Very well. Thank you so much, Owami. Thanks for speaking to us this evening. Of course, speaking there to Owami Kunene, SRC Media Councillor at Rhodes University.